Last video we were talking about creating resource groups and what we need to consider while creating a resource group and things to know about. So let's move on to the next unit, which talks about creating Azure Resource Manager locks. All right, so um, uh, okay, so a resource manager lock is something which would help you to prevent an accidental deletion, right, uh, of a resource group or a resource, an or an accidental, let's say, a modification, right? So it helps you to put that check in place. So let's go through the description here. So it says that a common concern with resources provision in Azure is the ease with which they can be deleted, right? So an overzealous or careless administrator can accidentally erase months of work with a few steps, right? I mean, you could, and I believe there's no way to recover, right? And we can also look it up. Can we, recover Azure? So there is no method to restore deleted resource group. So yeah, I've been looking through articles. I didn't find any definitive way you can do that. So that's why we need to put this check in place, right, to prevent accidental deletion, so to speak. So uh, because and there's no way you could like recover it if you wanted to. Um, you can associate the lock with a subscription, a resource group, or a resource, right? And locks are inherited by child resources, right? So if you have a resource and that resource has a child, right? Um, you could that particular lock could be inherited by that child resource. Um, and let's now focus on the screenshot here. Um, so now let's look at this. It says now you have an ad, and there is a subscription button, and then there is refresh. And if we look down a little further, you talk about adding a lock, and then you set the lock type. If it's read only, and read only is what I was talking about. If you're to prevent any kind of modification um, of the of a resource group or a resource or a subscription. In this case, um, we are talking about a resource group, because if you notice on a top left corner, I mean you can see the name of the resource group. It says network RG logs, and below you can see a resource group, right? Um, you can you can therefore identify that it's a resource group. But with that said, the logs can not only be applied to a resource group, it can also be applied to a resource or or in a subscription level. And the way we do it is we go into the settings. In case the resource group, we go into the settings, the settings section, and then there is this logs option. So we click on the logs option, and then all we need to do is we need to just give it a name and select a log type. If you want it to be read only, it should just prevent any kind of modification of that said resource group, or if you want, you can also prevent deletion, right? And if you want, you can add some notes to it. So that's the option that we have here. And if you scroll down a little bit, so it says that there are two kinds of uh, resource logs. So it's read only that we just saw, which prevents any kind of changes or modifications to the resource, or you could also have delete logs, which prevent any kind of deletion. So there's a thing to note here that only the owner and user access administrator roles can create or delete management logs, right? So only the owner and user access administrator roles can create or delete management logs. Let's look at the role of a user access administrator, which I believe is to do with an Azure resource, right? So let's search for user access administrator. So a user access administrator lets you manage user access. It helps you lets you manage user access to the Azure resources, right? So that's what a user access administrator does, right? It could be an owner or a user access administrator that has permissions or privileges to create or delete uh, logs, right? To create or delete management logs. So that's very important because that is something which they're going to test, right? They'll give you a bunch of roles, and you know which are the ones that would help you in deleting or creating a management log, so to speak. So in the next video we will be looking at how to reorganize Azure resources. So until then, see you next time.